The Orlando Magic get off to a strong start after the All-Star break, and more importantly, Paolo Banchero gets off to a strong start. The blueprint that the Magic showed today on Locked On Magic.
You are Locked On Magic, your daily Orlando Magic podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And you are indeed Locked On Magic. Today is February 20th, 2026. My name is Philip Rossman-Reich. I'm the senior writer over at OrlandoMagicDaily.com, credentialed member of the Orlando Magic media since the 2012 season. On today's episode of Locked On Magic, the Orlando Magic wax the Sacramento Kings. That's not news. The Kings are really bad. 15 straight losses for them. But why the win showed a blueprint for how the Magic are going to survive and thrive after the All-Star break, especially what Paolo Banchero showed. We'll get to that coming up here in just a moment. First, we want to thank you again for making Locked On Magic a part of your day every day, no matter when you listen to us, whether it's first thing in the morning, whether it's right we upload. We truly appreciate you making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. You can make Locked On Magic even bigger part of your day by being one of our everydayers. That means you're listening 5 days a week. That means you're listening on the weekends, like this Saturday when we do our weekend episodes after games. That means you're part of your daily podcast rotation. That means we're your first listen of the day. That means you're a part of our everydayer club. We want to thank you for helping make the Locked On Magic community such a great and growing community. We want to thank you for helping make the Locked On Podcast Network the #1 sports podcast network. It's your team every day. Today's episode of Locked On Magic is also brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Have your cake and drink it too. Birthday cake flavor is back. No fork needed. Vanilla-y, cakey flavor, caffeinated kick, and no sugar. It's party time. Order now at 5hourenergy.com or on Amazon. We're still, admittedly, going to be figuring out how this is going to work. And maybe that shouldn't be the case, because the Magic have essentially played without Franz Wagner for 2.5 months. We know what this team's flaws are. We know what this team's issues are. We know where this team still potentially falls short, even with the players and how good this team can and maybe should be with Franz out. And so really, what we're looking to see from the Magic is something different. Something that points them back in the better version of themselves, because they've been 14-15 over their last 29 games since Franz Wagner got hurt originally in New York. This team has shown us plenty of good, as much as they've shown us plenty of bad and plenty of frustration. I have pointed everyone to one inescapable truth and one inescapable fact, that there are a lot of issues with this team. And it's not just injuries, and it's not just the big thing I'm about to describe. There are a lot of issues that the Magic are going to have to reckon with and make some decisions on this offseason. As I told a friend of mine, like, hey, don't focus so much on the offseason. We'll have plenty of time to do that. But every issue was dancing around the bigger issue. And that is that Paolo Banchero hasn't played at the level that the Magic need him to. Like, just plain and simple, the Magic have not gotten the best out of Paolo Banchero. That doesn't mean he's been terrible or god-awful, or doesn't mean that, everyone should be rushing to dump him and give up on him. I hope I have made that clear through my criticisms of him throughout the year, but at the end of the day, you go as far as your star will take you. And especially with Franz Wagner out now, everything on this Magic team revolves around Paolo Banchero. And quite frankly, we have not seen superstar Paolo Banchero enough. And so I will say this before we dive too deeply into this. Yes, the Magic were playing the Sacramento Kings. Yes, the Kings are bad. Worst record in the league, now a 15-game losing streak. They're bad. And it's, again, not that they don't have some decent players, but whatever problems you think the Magic's offense has, oh boy, that Sacramento offense, That just looks like guys are going through the motions. Like, guys are getting theirs, and that's about it. That is a rough team right now. And so I'm not gonna put the cart before the horse here. The Magic have a lot more to prove on this road trip. And essentially what the Magic had to do in winning this game 131-94 was to take care of business. The fact that the Magic don't win a lot of games, even against really bad teams, quite like this, and especially on the road, but quite like this, that is a sign of something in itself, even if it's not something that we should bank and take to bet. But this first game after the All-Star break needed to kind of show us the blueprint for how this team's going to play. I said this throughout the course of the All-Star break, or I hope I said this on the show. Maybe I didn't. I'm still a little feverish, so I forgot. I do not remember anything that I said in yesterday's show. I'm sorry. That was a rough show for me. I got it done, but it was a rough show for me. But the Magic needed to come into this game with the seriousness and the intention that they would carry with them through the rest of the playoffs, because the Magic could have played at about 50 or 60% and still probably have won this game. Sacramento will get you if you're not careful. They have the talent to do that. And Orlando certainly looked like that with how quickly they fell behind. And this is where I expect team leaders, and especially the team star, again, whether this has been my big point all season, whether he likes it or not, whether it's fair or not, the team is going to take its cues from its best player. And so for the first time in what feels like a very long time, Paolo Banchero set the tone for this team. We'll get to the three-point shooting. We'll get to the team record 28 made threes or 27 made threes, whatever it ended up being. We are going to get to that. Do not worry. I want to talk about the Magic's three-point shooting. But everything started with the intensity that Paolo Banchero brought. Even when he struggled early in the game, he was getting downhill, attacking the paint, and going to the basket. And yeah, the Magic struggled because he was struggling to make shots. He wasn't getting to the foul line as much as he thought he deserved to, and that's fair. But he was missing shots, and no one else was attacking. No one else was following him. So with the Magic down 11 midway through the second quarter, Paolo Banchero checks in, and Orlando burns off a 16-0 run with Anthony Black playing perfectly off of him. And all of a sudden, you could just feel the sea change, that Paolo was in complete control over every aspect of the game. And that's what I mean by being the star, where there was nothing that Sacramento's defense could do that was bothering him. They want to throw him a double? Okay, great. He's got to pass to the open man and trust that that player is going to hit shots. And guess what? This game they did. They're not going to cover him. He's going to attack with aggression. He's going to get to the foul line, or he's going to get a shot at the rim, and he's going to feel good enough to hit and take and make threes when they come his way. It has been far too rare for Paolo Banchero to have a game like this. 30 points, 6 assists, 5 rebounds, only 5 free throw attempts, which is not fair to him. He certainly was better than that. 5 of 7 from 3, and a plus 32. The Magic were simply better with him on the floor. And he had his fingerprints on every aspect of the game. Were there mistakes? Absolutely. He had 3 turnovers, fumbled the ball a little bit too much, especially early in the game. Was maybe a little bit off. It was aggressive, but not intense and intentional. There's still plenty to clean up. And look, again, this is Sacramento. We'll talk about what he looks like against Phoenix, against the Clippers, against the Lakers, against the Rockets, against the Pistons. Those are your next 5 games. There is still a lot to clean up. But this was a classic Paolo Banchero superstar game. And that is something the Magic have been begging for a long time. And so, like, again, in case y'all think that I am unfair I want to make sure I give the flowers when they are due. I want to make sure that I say it loud and clear. This is what the Magic need from their star player. If we're going to, if he's going to be a star player, we're going to hold him to a high standard. This is the kind of effort. This is the kind of output. This is the kind of intensity. This is the kind of control over the game that the Magic are going to need from Paolo for the remaining 28 games of this season. And if he plays like he did Thursday night, if he plays like he did Thursday night, the rest of the season, the Magic are going to climb out of the 7th seed, regardless of whether Franz plays or not the rest of the season. Again, I am increasingly skeptical we see Franz Wagner the rest of the year. But if he plays like he played tonight, Paolo's going to put to rest a lot of the debates about him. And B, we're going to see the version of Paolo Banchero we've wanted to see all year long. And that version of Paolo Banchero is a winning basketball player, is a player that elevates this team and makes them something special. As I've told people who are angry about any criticism going to Paolo because they don't want to lose a superstar, and Magic fans are scarred by that. I get that. I'm not saying anything, or hope I'm not saying anything, but I don't feel like I'm saying anything that either Paolo doesn't know already about himself and is frustrated with himself, or that the people around Paolo shouldn't be noting and saying to him. He played an exceptional game, one of his best games, and generally Paolo's been pretty good since the beginning of January. He's been generally pretty solid. Certainly his numbers are back where the Magic want them to be. But there's an intangible thing that comes with being a star and having that responsibility and touching the ball so much. And that's the blueprint that the Magic saw on Thursday. If he plays like this the rest of the year, the Magic are going to be just fine. It sure helps, though, to make a few threes. How Paolo Banchero's big game led to a historic night for the Orlando Magic. We'll get to that coming up here in just a moment. But first, today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by friends over at FanDuel. Ever wanted to experience the NBA Finals live and in person? FanDuel is giving you the chance to turn that dream into reality with their NBA sweepstakes. Here's how it works. Use your profit boost on any NBA future, and you'll automatically be entered for a shot to win an NBA Finals trip for two. That's right. Flights, tickets, the whole experience. If you're already looking at the board and thinking about which team can make a deep run, this is the perfect time to lock in. I love futures this time of year, whether it's picking a team to win the championship or grab a conference title. It adds that extra layer of excitement to every game down the stretch. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Use your profit boost on an NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Today's episode of Locked On Magic is also brought to you by our friends over at Quo. New year, new systems. This is the time when a lot of us look at the messier parts of how we run our business and think there has to be a better way. And there is. Streamlining your communications is one of the quickest upgrades you can make. That's why today's episode is brought to you by Quo, spelled Q-U-O. The smarter way to run your business communications. Because when your team is reachable, organized, and communicating in one place, you're not just working cleaner, you're creating more opportunities to connect with customers. Quo makes everything so simple. Your whole team can call and text from one shared business number so nothing gets missed. It works right from your phone or computer, and you can even keep your existing number. And Quo's smart AI tools automatically log calls, summarize conversations, and highlight next steps so details never slip through the cracks. It's no surprise Quo is the #1 rated business phone system on G2. Trusted by more than 90,000 businesses, from solo operators to growing teams. Make this the year where no opportunity and no customer slips away. Try Quo for free, plus get 20% off your first 6 months when you go to quo.com/LockedOnNBA. That's Quo, QUO.com/LockedOnNBA. Quo, no missed calls, no missed customers. We want to thank you for making Locked On Magic part of your day. Every day, we want to thank you for helping make the Locked On Podcast Network the #1 sports podcast network. If you want to take your Locked On Magic fandom to the next level, check out our Everydayer Club. With the Everydayer Club, you get Locked On Magic ad-free plus members-only Discord access. Join at lockedonmagic.supercast.com. That's lockedonmagic.supercast.com. This is the effect that having your best player, and again, like, no offense to Franz. Franz is very, very good and has this effect, but the way he plays and the way he scores is very different. When your best player, and a player like Paolo Banchero, is working on all cylinders, when things are operating at this level, it has this trickle-down effect to everybody. Just look at the difference between the first quarter and the rest of the game. The Magic took way too many threes in this game. I want to start there. Like, yes, they made a franchise record 27 threes. They took 50 threes. They took way too many threes. And in the first quarter, they were settling for threes like it was nobody's business. They had more three-point field goal attempts than two-point field goal attempts in the first quarter. I think they only had 2 points in the paint in the first quarter. I think they only had like one or two two-point field goals in the first quarter. It was really terrifying. And again, this is just a reminder that the Magic can fall into these traps and can get themselves in trouble. But really, after that first quarter, and again, the first quarter, there were some good things. The Magic got downhill a little bit. With Paolo got downhill and was creating some things, but was struggling to score. And everyone else was just kind of settling for jumpers. And Sacramento was dipping under screens and begging the Magic to shoot threes. The Magic obliged them. But at the end of the day, the Magic were able to get effective threes for much of the rest of the game. And then by then, they were in rhythm and they were hot and they were making threes. This is, again, the power of a good and working Paolo Banchero, because he is such a willing passer. We'll do deep dives on everyone's individual season after the season ends. I do think that's important, and I will tell you what I'm going to say about Paolo now. Paolo is trying to do the right things. This isn't a guy that is hogging the ball and just jacking up shots. If anything, one of the things that we're complaining about this year is that Paolo is not shooting enough. Is that Paolo is deferring and trying too hard to keep others involved, whereas sometimes it's like, hey, dude, take over the game. And so that is one of the challenges. It's always one of the challenges for a young player learning how to be a star player, is understanding that balance. But again, this is what worked so well about this game, is that Paolo had that balance because he had the defense in the palm of his hands. And look, it wasn't just Paolo. Like threes came from everybody. Like, again, Paolo made 5 of 7. Like, he made his threes. You know, Desmond Bane was 3 of 5. Anthony Black was 4 of 6. Like, guys just made baskets. But at the end of the day, a lot of these threes started off with dribble penetration, getting into the paint, touching the paint, and kicking out. And looking at Paolo's 6 assists, I'm just going to pull up the stat sheet here. Of Paolo's 6 assists, and they don't have the stats ready. They don't have it logged yet. I would imagine that like 4 of Paolo's 6 assists were 3-pointers. And I would imagine he had several secondary assists. Like, the Magic were able to get a lot of their 3-point looks tonight just from kickouts. This Magic team, for as poorly as they've shot from 3 this year, they're 27. They entered the game 27th in the league in 3-point field goal percentage. They shot better than 50% this game. They've now had 4 straight games taking more than 43-point attempts. I do not think this Magic team should be afraid to shoot threes. Just because their percentage is bad does not mean they should not take threes, because they're capable of having games like this. A lot of guys are having better, and it's not saying much after last year, but a lot of guys are having better 3-point seasons than it looks. Certainly Desmond Bane hasn't had the 3-point shooting season that we thought he'd have. But Franz is vastly improved. Paolo is improved. I don't think he's improved over last season, but he's in the low 30s. AB is having a career season from 3. Like, the Magic, if Tristan Silva's having a good season from 3. The Magic have just been trying to put all those pieces together. And obviously, like, everything just works when you're making shots. Like, one of the reasons the Magic were down 11 and down 10 after the first quarter was simply they weren't making shots. And you could just see them, especially when the bench came in and Jamal Mosley ran some weird lineups early in the game. It definitely feels like Mose is still searching for the guys he trusts off the bench. And we'll get to the box score and talk about some of those guys that they have earned some trust now. The Magic struggled to make shots and they let go of the rope defensively. And again, the most difficult thing that this team has had to learn and internalize is that their defense has to take the lead, that their defense creates their offense. It's not their offense that creates their defensive energy. And so, that was a talking point after the game that, what really started the comeback, what really started the Magic taking control over this game and fixing the offense was that their defense got better. But, again, that's also what got them in the hole is that they missed a lot of shots. Their defense let go of the rope, and they found themselves down 10. This game was a great reminder that the Magic still have a lot of things to clean up, that there's still a lot of trouble. But at the end of the day, too, Orlando got in the paint, got quality three-point looks, and made them. And look, they've done a lot of games this year where they got quality three-point looks and missed. And typically they miss. So I'm not counting on the Magic making 27 threes a game. I certainly don't want them taking 50 every game. I still think their ideal number of three-point attempts is probably 35 or 36. I think they average 33 at the moment. But when you make shots, everything just feels better. And again, it's not simply that the Magic made shots. They got quality looks. So it's not that it's not just that they made shots. They got quality looks. And that gets you to that next step. So let's talk about the box score because it wasn't just about Paolo Banchero in this game. We'll talk about the big contributions from Anthony Black and from Javon Carter in his first real minutes with the Magic. We'll get to that coming up here in just a moment. But first, today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to by our friends over at 5 Hour Energy. Welcome to the 5 Hour Energy Flavor Draft. We're looking at every aspect of the draft to let you know which tasty flavors are the best and which just might be sleepers. The board is set, the flavors are ready, and only one is going to take the top spot. 5 Hour Energy has a wide variety of flavors and really something for everyone. This isn't just a normal energy drink. This is a shot of energy that tastes pretty good. Whether you go with a traditional flavor like grape, get the Concord grape flavor similar to grape juice or candy, soft, rounded sweetness, smooth, almost syrup-like fruit profile. We all love grape. Or you go for something fun like confetti craze. It's not overly sweet, but has a delicious blend of rich and buttery, freshly baked confetti cake, smooth vanilla frosting, and a sprinkle of sweetness in every sip. Sweet birthday cake inspired flavor, notes of vanilla frosting, and sugary sprinkles. No matter which flavor you go for, you're going to find a 5 Hour Energy shot that gets you through your day and makes you feel pretty good about it. Find your new favorite flavor of 5 Hour Energy shots, available only at 5hourenergy.com or on Amazon. Again, that's 5hourenergy.com or on Amazon. Let's run through the final box scores. The Orlando Magic defeat the Sacramento Kings 131-94. Again, a lot going on in this game. It isn't just about Paolo Banchero. And again, I want to make this clear because I'm sure the comments will come. This is the Kings. You are expected to beat this team. You're expected to handle this team. And credit to the Magic, they scored only 18 points in the first quarter. They did not look like themselves. They were settling for shots. I actually have the numbers here. The Magic were 1 for 11 on 2-point field goals. They had 2 points in the paint in the first quarter. They were 4 for 13 from three. They were 4 for 13 from three, which means they went 23 for 37 the rest of the game from three. So, again, the Magic did some work from three. And again, a lot of it, I think, came from their ability to get paint touches and kick out. Orlando won fast break points 29-6. They lost points in the paint 44-30, which is very rare for them to win a game when they lose points in the paint. But again, they made a ton of threes. And, they're going to have to make some threes to get teams to back off them and defend the three-point line. So that's going to be a key for the rest of the season that the Magic actually make threes. Again, Orlando made as many threes as the Kings attempted. Sacramento was 8 for 27 from three. Credit to the Magic's defense. They held Sacramento to 19 turnovers, 24 points off those turnovers. Sacramento forced 10 turnovers, but I believe in the first half, Orlando had 8 turnovers, so just 2 turnovers in the second half. A big reason why the Magic were able to expand their lead. They outscored Sacramento 46-27 in the second quarter, 38-29 in the third, and then 29-10 as the Kings sat their veteran players in the fourth quarter. Orlando had this game in hand. They were up by like 18 at that point. So regardless of the opponent, a really, really nice win. We talked about Paolo, 30 points, 10 for 21 shooting, 5 for 7 from 3, 6 assists, 5 rebounds, plus 32. I thought he was just in complete control over this game. I really loved how he worked and played off of Anthony Black. Anthony Black coming alive so Paolo had, I think, 15 points or 18 points. I mean, he didn't have the second quarter. I can look that up. I have it here. Paolo had 13 points in the second quarter. He was 4 for 4 from the floor. Anthony Black had 12 points, 5 for 5. Them two together were really what sparked the run that got the Magic back in the lead. It was a 16-0 run that put the Magic in the lead for good. Anthony Black finished with 20 points, 8 for 13 shooting, 4 for 6 from 3. Just really, really confident. Had 3 steals. He played some really solid defense. Struggled a little bit with some fouls early on DeMar DeRozan, but for the most part, really, and they had 1 foul, but really held his own and helped keep kind of DeMar DeRozan in check. DeRozan, 13 points, 3 for 11 shooting, did have 8 free throw attempts. Orlando was just pretty solid defensively throughout the course of the game. Aside from like Precious Achiuwa being around the basket, Maxime Reynaud being around the basket, just generally Orlando did a really good job just making things hard for anyone trying to attack the basket and trying to attack off the dribble. Like Russell Westbrook was 1 for 6 from 3, 2 for 8 overall. Sacramento just doesn't have enough scoring if DeRozan and Westbrook aren't dominating, and they both played less than 20 minutes, and you can guess why. Anthony Black and Paolo Banchero just worked so well off of each other. They ran Paolo a lot more as a screener, which I am a big fan of. I don't know why the Magic haven't been doing this more. Clearly, Paolo is struggling a little bit right now, beating guys off the dribble. So if you could get him in screen and roll actions, if you could get him as the roller especially, just getting him to catch the ball on the move so the defense can't load up against him, and he could use his gravity diving to the basket, that's just so critical for this team. So I really, really liked how the Magic used him. And I don't know how often the Magic have done an AB Paolo pick and roll, but really, really solid job, those two working together. And I hope we see more of that as the season moves on. Desmond Bane finished with 17 points, 6 for 9 shooting, 3 for 5 from 3. Kind of a slow game for Desmond Bane. Bane did not score in the first half. He had 9 points in the third quarter, helping the Magic kind of extend their lead and then really help put the game away. So maybe you could call that a little bit of garbage time minutes, but Bane wasn't really active and involved in the first half, which, again, an area that Jamal Mosley struggled with is to keep Desmond Bane involved, get him those quality looks. But Bane found his way and was able to get some shots to go down and carry his part of the team through that second half. So some good stuff there. Really, really strong game off the bench for Jevon Carter. Jevon Carter scored 14 points, 5 for 8 shooting, 3 for 5 from 3. 4 assists for him. Had a steal, was really solid defensively, was kind of in the right spots. You can still see him like learning where he's supposed to be and what this team is asking of him. But the fact that he defends so well, that is what the Magic want. He's going to fight on defense. He stepped into his threes with a lot of confidence in this game. So obviously a really impressive sort of first meaningful game for Jevon Carter. If he plays like that, the Magic, again, just all the Magic are looking for is what Corey Joseph gave them last year. Just someone who's solid, not going to make mistakes, not going to try and do too much, steps into his shots when the opportunities come around, defends his position really well, fills in some gaps when they need those gaps filled in. Some really good stuff from him. Jett Howard had an incredible game, 16 points, 6 for 6 shooting, 4 for 4 from 3. Not all of it in garbage time. Like he hit 2 of his threes late in the game. As Sacramento and Orlando were both with their garbage players in, he hit the last 2 threes that gave the Magic both the record and tied the record and gave them the record. So, look, Howard had some good defensive moments. He still got a long way to go defensively, I think, to be what the Magic want him to be. But Magic needed some shooting. He provided some shooting and did some really nice things as well throughout the course of the game. Outside of Paolo Banchero, the Magic really had no one that was consistently attacking the basket until, at least early in the game, except for Mo Wagner. Mo Wagner had 11 points. He shot only 2 for 7, 1 for 5 from 3. So that makes him 1 for 2 on 2-point field goals, but he was 6 for 8 from the foul line. So he was getting to the line, forcing action, forcing defenses to collapse on him, forcing them to foul him. He made a lot of really smart plays. Look, it's still clear that Mo is getting himself back into shape and back into rhythm after being out for so long. But he played really fine. Like, I was generally pretty happy with how he played. And again, just the Magic were looking for anyone besides Paolo to be aggressive and look to touch the paint because so few guys were willing to. Mo did that, and that was really, really encouraging. Tristan da Silva had 12 points on 4 for 6 shooting from deep. A lot of it coming late, so I don't think there's a lot to say on that. But look, good to see him make shots when he makes shots. Two guys we didn't talk about yet. Jalen Suggs, 9 points, 3 for 8 shooting, 3 for 7 from 3. I thought, look, there's the Mon Shumpert quote going on right now that it's not Paolo's fault. It's really the Magic don't have a point guard and guys setting him up. And I think there's something to that. But Jalen Suggs has been a lot better as a passer lately. And look, he's still very, very young too. I think there's still time for him to grow and develop into that. I think some of the problems that the Magic ran into this year is that they are still really young and they probably do need a veteran. They probably do need some older players that have been there and to help them in that regard. And so the hope is that, like, yes, another season of experience will make everyone a little bit better and a little bit more serious. But I would say this: as a point guard, you set the tone for the team. Like, again, your leader set the tone for the team. Your point guard sets the tone for the team. Jalen Suggs settled for threes early in the game, and I think that set a really bad tone for the team. Suggs has not been super great at attacking off the dribble this year, and I think that's something he'll need to work on this offseason. I would even say that his defense has fallen off a little bit. Whether that's just coming back from the injury, he's still kind of figuring some stuff out. Orlando likes to use him as a roamer so that he can cause a little bit of chaos, but he often puts himself out of position trying too hard to go for steals. So that's something to watch out for with Jalen Suggs. This was just not a good game for Jalen Suggs. And he played only 19:45, so Magic didn't lean on him too much. Same thing for Wendell Carter. Wendell Carter was 2 points, 1 for 5 shooting, did have 8 rebounds. Defensively, Wendell Carter is still mostly fine. He's, maybe a little late rotating back to his man when he has to clean up for mistakes in front of him. But the Magic need Carter to make shots, and he struggled to make shots in this one. At the end of the day, though, those are minor complaints because the Magic did so many other things so well. They controlled this game really from the middle of the second quarter to the end. It looked like they were going to blow the doors open at the beginning of the game. Shots just didn't fall. Orlando nearly let go of the rope. Kudos to this team for having the resiliency that has not always been guaranteed with this group. They had the resiliency to get back into the game and zoom past Sacramento and control this game the rest of the way. So, again, you expect that against the Kings. We're not over here raising a banner for beating the Kings. I want to make that clear. But you still got to do the job. And Orlando's at times struggled to do the job, even against really bad teams. So they get the job done. They beat the Kings 131-94. They will be back in action Saturday against the Phoenix Suns. But that's going to do it for me today. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. Of course, find me on Twitter at PhilipRR_OMD and on Blue Sky at PhilipRR. You can subscribe to the podcast at Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Hamlin, Google Play, Spotify, Odyssey, and all of the places you download podcasts to your podcast-enabled listening device. For the latest on the Orlando Magic, you can also check us out on YouTube as well. Just search for Locked On Magic. For the latest on the Orlando Magic, be sure to check out OrlandoMagicDaily.com. You can find us on Twitter at OMagicDaily. And for even more Orlando Magic content, be sure to check out my Patreon page, your Orlando Magic Hub, at patreon.com/Orlando Magic Hub. If that doesn't do it for you, you can also check out our Everydayer Club. You can get an ad-free audio feed of this podcast, plus access to the Locked On Discord server. Just check it out at lockedonmagic.supercast.com. As always, thank you for your support. Now that you're done listening to us, if you're on video, we're going to send you the first ever 24/7 national NBA YouTube channel. On audio, make sure you make your second listen NBA game night on Locked On NBA. But that's going to do it for me today. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. We'll be back after Saturday's game against the Suns. Is an early tip-off, a 5 p.m. Eastern time tip-off from Phoenix. We'll be back after that game to break that game down as the Magic continue this West Coast road trip. But until then, for Orlando Magic Daily and Locked On Magic, this has been Philip Rossman-Reich. We'll see you all again next time for another episode of Locked On Magic.